So, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Keeping Up Appearances podcast. We are not in the studio tonight as we are on Zoom because we have a very special guest with us. Obviously, we are all Evertonians. We've got maybe the top Evertonian podcaster with us, Baz from Toffee TV, and Overlap fame, as the lads were discussing before. Baz, thanks for being with us. How are you doing?
I'm not happy with that introduction, but yeah, just an Evertonian, the same as everyone else. Thank you very much. But yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thank you very much. Are you?
Well, thanks.
You all good?
Yes, we're all
Yeah,
good.
good, thank you.
We're all
Excellent.
good. We're all good. How did you think the weekend went with the Blues?
Listen, it was okay. I think anyone expecting much more than what we're seeing is probably a little bit getting ahead of ourselves. I think all the work starts in the summer, doesn't it? We know what the squad is, and they've done really well. And we were playing against a good side, and we want to win every game, don't we? But I think when you step back from it, we just played the top two teams in the country at the moment, and done okay in both of them, I think. Although that first half was minging, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're getting to the point of the season now as well where a lot of games have not got much riding on them and they're kind of just like petering out a bit. I've seen that with the Manchester derby yesterday. So yeah, hopefully it's a more exciting last few weeks anyway. For any new listeners, and obviously Baz here today, we'll run through quickly our order for tonight. So we've got a quiz to start off with, which will be distinctly average, which I'll run through. We will then have our usual Marooned 5, and then we'll finish on our Keeping Up Appearances. So we will get to our first quiz of the episode, which will be distinctly average. On my screen, I'll go with the sort of the pairs I've got on my screen. So it's Bob and Tosh will be one team, and Sean and Baz will be the other team. I've got a set of questions here. They have a numerical answer. Without conferring, you guys will put in your answer to me directly in the chat for me, if that's okay. I will then take the average of your team's answer, and that will be your submission. Closest wins. We have got a few questions. We've got to decide that if it ends up being a draw as well. Everyone understand? All good?
Yep. The double points
Yeah.
if we get it bang on, or
I'll give you triple points if you get it bang on.
I'll just apologise in advance, Barry.
I was going to apologise to you first, mate. So you beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Barry, what you've got to do is you just got to think of the worst possible answer and then go the average the other way, because that's what Sean will have gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
The double bluff here, Barry. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be all right.
Right, so make sure the answers go directly to me in the chat, please. So, first question is, we heard the news last week that Kevin De Bruyne will leave Man City at the end of the season after 10 years at the club and just over 400 appearances. One of the last big names of that era to leave in similar circumstances was Aguero, who made just under 400 appearances. How many combined goals and assists do both players have for Man City?
So both of them combined goals and combined
Yeah.
assists.
Yeah. So it'll just be one number.
Okay.
Sorry, Sash. I've gone stupid, I think.
Oh, why would you do that?
Not intentionally, but the more I think of it
sounds
now,
to me like you have.
No, that's probably.
You shouldn't really say that, because it makes me think should I go lower now? Is your stupid
Yeah,
gone
no
like...
confirmed.
okay, sorry.
I'll go with the answer they'd have anyway, Callum. You know me, I wouldn't cheat. Don't need to win that much.
You've changed, man, Sash.
Have I done that right, by the way, Cal, or does everyone just see my guess?
No, I think you've done that right. You've done that right.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'll just.
If everyone starts laughing, they've seen my guess.
To be fair, the good news is you guys are quite close. Sean and Baz, so there's obviously some
Okay.
good team there.
Close to the answer, or?
Yeah, close to each other.
Close to each other.
It's close anyway, yeah. Yeah.
I'll just work out Toffee and Bob's.
Does not sound good for us, Bob.
You.
So we had one team with an answer of 4-4-4, and another team with an answer of 485. Sean and Baz went for 444. Tosh and Bob 485. The answer was 606. Bob guessed 600.
Wow.
Great answer.
That's
So Bob was
tremendous.
extremely close. Having said that, he went stupid. So Bob, great answer. So that's 1-0
Doesn't
to
even sound
Tosh
like
and
that.
Bob.
Yeah, it doesn't. It sounds like the kind of numbers Pele was counting.
Well, oh, in fact, De Bruyne's had the break as well in school, so they didn't count.
Yeah.
De Bruyne had 106 and 176. Aguero 260, 64. So that's 1-0 to Tosh and Bob. Next, Everton themed. This season saw the last ever Goodison Park Merseyside derby. The very first was a 3-0 win for Everton in October 1894. At the time, it was a Football League record-breaking attendance. How many fans were there to watch that day?
Oh, you know what? I've heard this question and it's gone.
See if you can pick it out somewhere.
Yeah.
1894.
What happens if I'm 6 out again, Cal?
You're 6 out of
It's
this one, you've done
unbelievable.
very well.
Then whoever's behind you in the corner's telling you the answers.
To be fair, this time round, Tosh and Bob were the closer team in terms of answers between themselves.
Probably the last time we beat them as well, I reckon.
Yeah, could be. So we have an answer of 45,000, an answer of 59,500. Sean and Baz went for the 45,000. Tosh and Bob with a 59,500. The answer was 44,000. Well done.
What did
Sean
you
and
go there,
Baz.
Baz?
30,000.
Oh, when you said
Oh.
you went too high, I went 60,000. Good job.
I went 64.
Yeah.
I'd seen something. It must have been the first time. There was a record that Everton had done, obviously, all those years ago, and I think it was 15,000 the first one. And then I was thinking, was that the number? And then I remember the derby was higher, but I didn't. What was the actual answer?
44.
44,000.
Yeah, I seen like it was something like the week before. I think the game was like 12,000 or something.
Yeah.
And absolutely smashed it. So 1-1, 1 apiece going into the last question.
Wasn't a whitewash, Sean. We're all right. A glory defeat if we get beaten now. It's all right.
So the last question was kind of more Baz themed with Everton. This one is maybe more Tosh and Sean themed with Eurovision. 51 years ago yesterday, ABBA won Eurovision for Sweden with Waterloo, one of the most famous songs in the history of the competition. At the time, there were no Swedes playing in England's top flight. But how many Swedish players are currently playing in the Premier League?
Currently?
Yes.
How did you get to that question? Like, what made you think of that?
Brilliant.
It popped up on like on my laptop on like a this day so many years ago kind of thing.
I don't want to know what's popping up on your laptop, Cal.
It's a brilliant question, though.
Famously given no points by
Thank
the
you.
UK as well, Cal. There's a bonus fact for you.
Yeah. That was going to be me decider. That was going to be the decider question.
This
How
is
many
this a
points did the UK give
Eurovision,
it?
Oh,
Eurovision podcast? Tremendous. I love it. Love it. Should have been done next month. Okay. I think.
Is it close to 600 or 44,000?
That's the dilemma.
Should have gone. And Bob's. You done yours, Bob?
I'm hovering over send.
Keep it down, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Oh, I
Come
wouldn't have
on,
counted
are we
that
having
yet.
this, Carl? Come on.
He sent that. He sent it before he said it. To be fair.
I can tell you don't want to get this wrong, do you, Barry? This is the one
you
you
know
really
what?
care about.
I should have just. I'm just gonna put an answer. I honestly, this one is. I'm just not convinced. I'll be honest. I can't even think of one at the moment.
Out of interest, Barry, I don't know. Talking about Eurovision, did you ever mention the pantomimes on Toffee TV at all? Was that ever?
Once I mentioned, no, a few times it's popped up that I was Snow White, but it's
Not just was Snow White, but fantastic as Snow White.
well, you know.
But that's not for you to say, is it? That's
That's
for
not
the
for me.
audience.
Again, that's your word, Sean, not mine. You know.
It wasn't
Did I
even
miss
mine.
that?
It was
Did I miss that for
anyone
the
in the audience.
introduction?
You are.
I meant to put that in the introduction.
Yeah, and a picture.
So all our answers are in. Just get the averages,
I can't.
which are very close. One average is 16. One average is 14.
Oh,
Sean and Baz have gone with 16. Tosh and Bob have gone with 14.
So good if it was 15, the actual answer.
We'll have to have a fight. The answer is 10.
Yes.
So Tosh and Bob.
I
both
saved the
2-1
day
up.
then, Tosh, yeah.
Well
Did you
done,
put
boys.
0?
I put
So-
8.
So that's 2-1. If you want, I've got a fourth question. So if Sean and Baz want to tie it up,
You're the
give yous a
captain,
chance.
Sean. It's on you. I mean,
I,
if it's like the last one, we've got no chance. But fair play.
I reckon we'll go out as good losers there, Cal. Don't worry.
Glory defeat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll take it. We're good
I'll
losers.
be honest. If I asked Tosh wanted to go 3-1 up. So,
Yeah.
Classic Tosh.
I don't want to give you satisfaction, Cal. No.
We got them we had them by the throat there, Bob.
Yeah.
We could have got them.
You did.
go on then. We will leave it at that. Tosh and Bob 2-1 winners. Well, some good answers there, guys. Well in. Good shouts. I'll hand over to Tosh as we head over to Marooned 5.
Here's Cal. Very quickly then, we usually do a little recap of the last one, but it was so long ago, I can't actually remember what it was. In the studio, room 442, so a few suggestions. No winner, though. Everyone was the winner that night. Today, in honour of our esteemed guest, former Snow White, we are going to be doing an Everton-themed one, which we try not to do too often, to obviously alienate all our other 3 listeners who wouldn't like that. But what we're going to go for is in aid of leading Goodison in just a few weeks, which I'm sure we're all gutted about. We're going to say if we were going to erect a statue outside the new ground, or I suppose it could go outside the Goodison first, in honour of a specific moment, player, person, etc., who would we go for? And we've left the option to go a bit alternative. It doesn't have to be a conventional statue, because I'm sure we could all come up with very similar answers for that. So if we were going to go for a statue, what would it be? Would you say that's a fair summing up, Sean?
Yeah, I think so. Just it's a Goodison icon. That's what we wanted, wasn't it? Someone that we think could represent Goodison, whether that's as I said, a sentimental one, just because you like them as a player, or a funny one, or whatever you think kind of sums up your life at Goodison.
Since you like it so much, you can go first then.
I was actually going to ask if I could go first as well, to be honest.
Oh, set the tone.
No, it's not that reason. I think this one I struggle with a little bit. I think I'm speaking here to 4 season ticket holders, and obviously as an Everton fan my whole life kind of thing, not been a season ticket for a long time now. And I feel like there's quite a lot of moments that I wasn't there for necessarily. So once I've said my piece, I wanted to let you four run a little bit. So I'll mention a few I was going to go with. I don't think anyone is going to go with these. So I started off. Well, no, I didn't start off with this. I'll go with this one first. And I nearly changed my mind on Saturday. Obviously, after all the kind of, I don't want to say fuss made of Kevin Campbell, but obviously like the respect shown to Kevin Campbell, I kind of thought that a fitting statue might be the one of obviously him with Rooney on his back after that Arsenal game. I thought that would be an unbelievable statue. But an earlier idea I had was during the COVID season when we were flying high, when it felt like we were going to win the league, and life was good in that horrible COVID time. Again, that's where it's probably different for me for you, I suppose, is that you were all sad because you weren't at the game.
I wasn't.
I obviously no different for me. It was just nice that Everton were winning, and I was going to go with that. A couple of celebrations, obviously, when we had like when all the lads were there, like Yerry Mina, James, Yerry Mina's Macarena. I thought that might be good, a bit like the Beatles on the Albert Dock. If you could have like all the lads outside Bramley Moor. But then the one I went for was arguably what I feel is a modern, as far as modern Everton moments in like recent memory, it's one of the most iconic moments. I think the picture kind of is a bit deceptive as well in the way it happened. Obviously, again, you would all have been there. I'm going back to it's the it was 22, wasn't it? Back end of the season, Everton against Chelsea. A 1-0 win with the winner scored by Richarlison. And then coming from that match was that iconic moment of Richarlison running back towards the stand with the flare in his hand. Obviously, again, I think the pitch is deceptive because it almost looks part of the celebration, doesn't it, from the pictures? But it wasn't, was it? It was to return the flare kind of thing. I think that picture is a still, because obviously you think on its own, it's boss anyway. Like, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? Richarlison, the fact it was him, the fact, yeah, you've just got that, even the way the smoke's blowing, it's just perfect picture. But then you think where it led to, because obviously we won that game, that took us out the bottom three, didn't it? And then from that we had like the Leicester moment, then leading to Palace, and it was like amongst all of that, it's just one little kind of boss little moment that you could think maybe ignited it a little bit. And I just think that would look sick outside the ground. It just really would look boss.
You could have like a water feature as the flare as well.
Yeah, or just a flare inside it. So like in a big moment, you can actually release.
Well, like the Olympic torch.
Yeah, like that.
Always lit.
Just always there. I mean, the thing, 3 brilliant points. One, you did leave off that Richie then threw it into the crowd and we got fined for it, but that's okay. That's a by the by.
Yeah.
And the other one was on the Yerry Mina Macarena. You could have Seamus Coleman, who, if you remember, run over to join in, seen what they were doing and just threw the arm and walked away as if, I'm not doing the Macarena, lads, no chance.
That could be it then, couldn't it? Yeah, just Seamus on his own, looking all angry.
You're fuming with the arm,
yeah.
Cracker.
But yeah, I think obviously there's loads going back to when I was a kid and stuff, but and you've got loads of like players that you'd love to have a statue of, but I think most Everton fans love Richarlison, and I just think that image in itself, what it represented, especially coming at the time when like they were doing all like the bus welcomes and stuff, it just kind of all fitted together, and I just think that would be a good symbol of Everton for like, yeah, for the rest of the country. I think it'd be boss.
I think it's a great job. That picture is one of the greatest Everton pictures ever. I think it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's so good, so good. But you're right, John. What it meant, that moment. Yeah, that would be a great statue. I don't quite know how you do the flare in the statue.
I was thinking that because
it had 3 ideas. So
yeah, but yeah, you see.
I actually wasn't there. I missed it.
No.
Oh, did you miss
I took her to a christening in Derby. I missed it.
Oh.
Wasn't great. It was even worse because we left just as Everton went 1-0 up, and I had to sit. I wouldn't put the radio on. I had to sit in silence the whole way back until she could tell me that we'd won. I just couldn't put it on in here and concede. And I actually remember, like, it was sort of around that time it felt that Spirit of the Blues sort of came back as the big sort of thing. And on the radio, when I turned on, you could hear that blaring out, and it was again actually brought a tear to me because it was that. I think the Leicester one when they were singing it famously after the Leicester game away. I think that was that after that. I think maybe a couple of games after that, maybe. But it was sort of coming back in there. I can't quite remember, but it fell all that time. We beat United at home around about that time as well, and we obviously had the Palace one later on, didn't we? I think. Yeah, I think it's a great shout. And it's a great one of a player who just seemed to get it, didn't he? We like that. We like players who get it at Everton, I think. So.
Imagine his reaction if he got a statue as well. He'd be in tears, wouldn't he?
He's in tears every time he realises he doesn't play for us. So reminding him that he's got a statue, he'd be loving it. He posted something last week, didn't he? That picture, that image, but someone had done like an animation of it, and he just randomly put it on his story the other day. So, you know, I'd hate him if I was a Spurs fan. Because all he does is post about Everton.
He'll be there at the last game when he should be playing for Spurs.
Yeah.
He'll be at Goodison.
Exactly what it'd be on the pitch.
Yeah, we'll all welcome it too. No, I think that's a great suggestion to start off, Sean. I think that's could see it. And I think you could pitch that idea of the water fountain or the Olympic torch idea. Different person lights it each week. Got it. Sorted. Yeah. Right then, unless anyone else got any other thoughts, I reckon, Bob, you jump in. Knowing what you're going for, we're going one sort of light-hearted one.
Yeah, I'm going a little bit daft, really. I'm going for a slightly surreal but iconic Goodison moment with references to pop culture and a link to the structure of our grand new ground. So Philadelphia is on my bucket travel list for a few reasons. One, and the main reason, to visit West Philly. The other one, to climb some very famous steps. So while it remains on the bucket list, I'm bringing Philadelphia to the banks of the River Mersey. I propose that as you succeed in getting to the top of our new, very steep south stand at the new ground, you are greeted by a statue of Sylvester Stallone based off his appearance before the glamour tie of Everton Reading in 2007. I've just looked back on the picture and he's holding aloft an Everton scarf with Everton, the People's Club, written on it as well. So I just think that sight of Sylvester Stallone with his Everton scarf would make quite a good, well, it would make a great statue, really. And I think a lot of statues and those kind of things are outside the ground. I think it would just be a good feature to have in the ground. Don't know whether it would work safety-wise, but seeing Rocky at the top of the steps would be pretty cool, I think.
What a random game as well. He drew 1-1.
Everton Reading.
Did Leon Osman score late on? I'm sure
think it was Andy
equalised.
Johnson.
We had discussion
Andy Johnson last week.
Yeah.
Stephen Hunt scored for them. Remember him?
Yeah,
Stephen
horrible.
Hunt with the head. He was. But imagine that, just a Rocky statue.
Yeah.
A random one.
When it was first mooted, I wondered whether we could pinch the Michael Jackson one from Fulham, but I thought it'd go something slightly less controversial and more related to Everton.
That was at the National Football Museum, the Michael Jackson one for a while in Manchester.
Yeah. Very, very strange.
He went to Exeter, didn't he? If they could have one of them there as well. He went with Uri Geller to Exeter. Michael Jackson.
Should have the Michael Jackson one at 8, really, shouldn't he?
Yeah. More to
probably want to stay away from it. Possibly.
Yeah, probably. I just remembered that. How old probably would have been mid-teens when that happened, and I binged all the Rocky films, including the recently released Rocky Balboa, in a day after that game because it was so exciting seeing him there. So it makes it all the more Everton that it was such a rubbish game that you attended as well. So
yeah, you got the real Everton experience, didn't you?
Yeah.
and had the Bovril.
The misery.
The Bovril.
Yeah.
You also away from it.
That's my case anyway.
He obviously brought it back for the Creed filming, didn't he? Remember?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we've got
he was only on the big
links.
screen for that one, though, wasn't he?
Well, I was obviously. I think that was a Monday night against West Brom. I think that was on there, and then they did for Creed 2. They did the film of that, AJ versus Parker in Cardiff City Millennium, and I was also at that.
Oh.
I reckon I'm one of the few people who's in both of them films.
Did you get a credit, Tosh?
Nada.
Yeah,
robbed. Absolutely robbed.
What could have been?
Yeah.
I know.
But anyway, yeah. No, a great case. Interesting one, Bob. I like it. Right then, I think I'll jump in because, well, we've got to leave our guest till last, I think, just to deliver the best case. I'm going to go. I was also like Sean. I think I was trying to pick something that meant a lot. I was trying to think of a few different angles. I'm a bit of a World Cup fan, and I was thinking a link to sort of the 1966 World Cup at first, and obviously that famous picture of Pele at Goodison and Pele playing. And I thought that it's quite a sad sort of picture of Pele, isn't it? Like leaving injured, so I couldn't go with that. But Goodison being the only other ground apart from Wembley to hold the semi-final, I think there's a lot of history in that place. So something like that was where my thinking was. I was then thinking going down the lines of the Just Stop Oil fella, saving the day in that same season as Sean's, getting us that win against Newcastle, in my opinion. But in the end, I've gone for, I think, a fairly obvious player. I'm going to go for Duncan Ferguson. But I'm going to go on a slightly different route, and I'm going to go another famous picture from around at the time when he was manager, where he's celebrating a goal and he's lifting up the ball boy. And I remember that. I feel like in the last few years, even though we've obviously struggled quite a lot, we've had a lot of sort of great individual moments. Sean's already mentioned one, obviously Iwobi. We've had so many of them sort of like limbs, as you'd call it, and unbelievable celebrations. I think for a lot of time, probably around the time Moyes left, till maybe the time where like we were struggling, we didn't have a lot of sort of unbelievable moments. And I just remember that one. It obviously came as just after Marco Silva had been sacked. We'd lost the derby midweek. And I do remember going to that game. It was an early kick-off against the Chelsea team that were doing okay, managed by Lampard. And I remember going there, you just didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, Ferguson had no sort of experience, really. And I just remember it just being a brilliant atmosphere, considering it was an early kick-off. We obviously took the lead quite early. We held on. We went ahead 2-0. He brought it back. We scored late on. I just think that picture of just the one thing you say about Duncan, he speaks, even last week before the derby, he speaks just so well about Everton. I went and seen him at the Philharmonic a couple of years ago, and you just can't help, even like whatever you think about him, just be sort of so impressed with like that idea of him. And I think I like the idea of obviously the pictures of him celebrating, his first goal in the derby. That could be a great statue, but that game there, he's celebrating that goal as an Everton fan. He's one of us there. He obviously came back as a player after leaving Newcastle. He was one of us then. But as there, he's one of us, and he's holding like a lad who's potentially the future of Everton there. I just think it's a lovely sort of moment. You can just see that there's the lad. There's a couple. He gets two different ball boys for two different goals. I think there's one, and you can see the lad. He's just proper celebrating. So that's the one I want. It's just a brilliant photo, and even just like I remember like that game just being like so made up, and that for him and the atmosphere again was just brilliant. And it was just one of them things where like you didn't feel like you got that many moments like that. I feel like we had quite a lot, but yeah, I think that idea for Duncan just sort of being there, yeah. And I don't know, it was just something that stuck in my mind, or just something of Duncan, because there is probably a lot of obvious ones. If Duncan was to get a statue, which is not the most ridiculous idea, I don't think that would be the one that would get it. But I like that idea of him sort of celebrating goals as a fan and like being involved in something. So yeah, my suggestion is going to be big dunk, and it's going to be celebrating the one of the goals with a young ball boy.
Good one. Good one.
What a man.
I think
well,
that game was so good, wasn't it? It was like such like a feel-good game. We all turned up like really feeling good and really excited, and kind of like, I don't know if proud is the right word, but we were all kind of like, wow, Duncan Ferguson's the manager. I think even for like probably for our generation, if that was like he was our idol kind of growing up.
Yeah.
So to have him then kind of manage us and go to a game to watch
like the dream.
him manage us.
It was just the dream,
It
wasn't
was, that's what I mean. It was kind of just like, wow, this is unbelievable. And then everything just kind of fell into place, didn't it? And that doesn't often happen at Goodison. It was kind of one of those days where it did. So yeah, it felt special, didn't it? Yeah, good shout, Tosh.
Chelsea hadn't lost their way until that day either. They
Oh,
were
is that right?
third, I think. They were
Really?
third that day, yeah.
Wow.
madness.
Yeah.
I remember we went 2-0 just after half time, didn't he? And that I think Kovacic scored an absolute like, worldie just like straight away, and just thought, oh, here we go. Because he was like something like he was probably they'd made it. We'd scored and they'd made it 2-1 by about 50 minutes or something. And then we sort of held on. I think Calvert-Lewin sort of a scruffy one to win it, was it?
Was that his last goal?
Oh, come on, Bob.
Oh, Bob. Controversial.
Right. Good shout, Tosh.
Yeah, go on then. Well, does anyone, Baz, do you want to jump in now, or do you want Callum? Callum's done a lot of
work. I want Cal. I'm looking for it. Mine's going to be boring, so I need to think. So Cal, go on.
I'll go. So we've had one kind of non-footballer one from Bob. I'll go with possibly the only non-human one. So obviously Everton have always kind of had this thing from the 90s and kind of the scraps of the dogs of war. And obviously, I think it was from the same day as Sean's actually, when there was the coach welcomes, the bus welcomes. We were obviously in a tough moment, a tough period, and we needed to get out of it. And for some bizarre reason, there was a dog at the coach welcome and trying to get through a crowd of about 20,000 people, and was lofted above the crowd and kind of like walked along through the crowd. And I think you can forget Richarlison for that day. It was the dog that won us that game, Sean. It was the dog, and I think Richarlison was throwing it for the dog. That's what I like to think. He's throwing it out of the stadium for the dog to fetch. That's what it was. So I think it tied so well together, and obviously social media after it was kind of just full of pictures of this dog being lofted above the crowd. It was like, I've never seen anything like that before at a football game, and the whole thing of the dogs of war, and that was kind of what we were trying to bring that out of the team in those coach welcomes, in those moments, in those atmospheres. That was what we were trying to do. I think probably that season we all probably thought they haven't got fight in them. The problem is these aren't the dogs of war, and we were trying to kind of rally that out to them in that period. And I think just as a bit of like poetic license or wherever that was, that there was a dog there that day that was kind of loft above the crowd. Yeah, it kind of brought the dogs of war back and that dogs of war spirit there.
The person who brought the dog was thinking that, or they were just going for a walk?
I
Go
think
for a
they
walk,
just
I think, wasn't it?
picked the wrong day to go for a walk. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think to have that kind of at the new stadium and bring that kind of Goodison dogs of war spirit to the new stadium. I think if we had a statue of kind of like a crowd with the dog aloft, would be a good way to kind of bridge that gap and bring that dogs of war to the stadium. There's a bit of a thing here. You could have it just a crowd of kind of general figures, or you might we might even merge some of our statues here. You might have Richarlison, Rocky, Dunk, and then Baz's kind of holding the dog up, and it's kind of
Holding the dog up.
Yeah.
I like it.
Stallone could be holding the dog
Or
up instead of the sky.
Or as you say,
Feather.
Richarlison's throwing it and the dog's looking the
Yeah,
other
the
way.
dog,
Like, you know,
yeah.
you play that trick with the dog where you go to throw it, and like the dog runs and you keep it. That's right.
So I think the dog of war, that would be kind of like the thing under the statue, bring that to Bramley Moor and bring that Goodison spirit into the new stadium. Is my suggestion.
What was the dog's name?
Beto.
Blue. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll find that out somehow. if the dog, if you're listening, tweet us.
Imagine we were massive amongst all the dogs.
That'd be amazing.
That's where our listeners are.
Yeah.
To be fair, I've mentioned the '66 World Cup, and probably the most famous footballing dog is Pickles, so it all links
Yeah.
together.
It does.
Synergy. It's
There
amazing.
we go. There we go.
Amazing.
Do you know what I will say as well? I mean, you all might tell me I'm wrong here, but I think something like that would work because when you think about like City and you look at all like, I mean, they've got that Aguero statue or the company statue and all that.
That look nothing like them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, don't like Liverpool I always feel like Liverpool fans laugh at us, you know, as in like who our legends are. As in like, it's almost like when we were kids and that, and we used to love like Tim Cahill. Well, some of us would, and it would be like, oh, is he your biggest legend? Do you not feel like if we were to do like a statue of Richarlison, some people might be a bit like, what are you doing a statue of him for? Whereas if you went totally the other way and did a dog,
Embracing how daft it is, yeah.
yeah,
No
then
one's got that,
we're
have they?
almost owning it, being like, this
Yeah.
means more. That like the dog kind of represents us. Do you know what I mean? And it eliminates that from Liverpool fans because we don't want to give them anything to beat us with, do we?
I feel like a statue of a dog might make it worse, Sean.
Or they make the very
Personally.
easy argument, you haven't got any
That's-
players, you've had to go to wildlife.
You've got to, yeah.
Well,
You've gone to,
it depends
you
if
know,
you want to be negative or positive. I'm looking on the
man's
bright
best
side, aren't
friend.
I? I'm looking
Yeah,
on the bright side.
Exactly.
Why
You are
not?
sure. I think it'd be a great statue, to be fair.
Yeah.
That'd be a good statue. It's yeah. We just have to have other things with it, I think, to qualify.
Yeah, I
it.
wouldn't have it the only statue.
No, it can't be the only thing.
The only one.
You know, Dog FC. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Name the
This is-
ground after the dog when we find out what its name is.
Maybe. They'll have to have 200 million
Yeah.
quid to give us, though.
Bramley Moor dog.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
There's a thing, isn't it, that on County Road, there's like someone's painted on the back of the thing. It says like in dog we trust instead of in God we trust.
Wow,
I patted it the next home game as well. It was still mooching around. It was trying to do another one, but there wasn't. I was trying to like
Yeah, doing like celebrity appearances and that.
yeah. It had like a little Everton like neck thing on as well, didn't
Yeah,
it? Like
yeah.
it was well kitted out.
started turning up wanting to crowd surf. Can't be having a dog with an
Big
ego.
time.
Yeah.
you went big time.
Yeah, you've changed since the Chelsea game, dog.
Should have had my seat. I don't think anyone sat in it. The dog could have been welcomed in the top balcony.
Oh,
No, good shout, Cal. Again, yeah. Not sure. I can't see the statue of the dog working, but it's a nice thought.
it is a good thought. It's a good thought. You see, mine's just route one, innit? Because mine's, well, you know, the best goalkeeper that's ever lived really is the right answer for everybody in Neville Southall. But that is a bit of a boring answer, isn't it? Because he is amazing and he should have a statue anyway. You know, your iconic moments, The problem is, right, you could have something like Calvert-Lewin flying through the air to score such a key goal against Palace, but it's celebrating staying up, which is
Yeah,
you know. And when I loved how someone said before, you know, our generations, they're sorry lads, but I love the fact he brought me into that. But sadly,
Yeah.
I am a little bit older than that, so I grew up with Everton winning the league. So my heroes are slightly different. You could have, if you're having like you don't want to go down the route of people being amazing. You could have Strachwalesi, who is a man of legend. Who basically just turned up and Moyes somehow got a tune out of him and he had less ability than Nias and everyone else. Or what about Carlo with the coffee?
Yeah.
When we scored, Duncan
like
nearly
that.
strangling him when we scored, and Carlo was just looking at him like, "What are you doing?" Statues are weird, aren't they? They're a strange thing because how do you qualify them? And they never look like them because I've seen a Thierry Henry one at the Emirates and it looks nothing like him. And
saying that,
so
though,
it would, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt,
Go on.
Baz.
No, go on.
There's been lots of talk at the minute about like De Bruyne, hasn't there? And like the statue that they think for him. And again, I think obviously he can get one anyway because he's unbelievable. But they're talking about that moment, aren't they, when they were 2-0 down at Villa, and he ties his shoelaces.
He ties his shoelaces, yeah.
Like, that is just. But again, he gets it because he's obviously a brilliant player. But that moment in it, and you're like,
well, all right. If we're looking for a moment, then, and we're gonna go tongue in cheek, I'm amazed none of you have gone for Sidibe with one sock on. The moment when Carlo Ancelotti thought, I'm going to Real Madrid if they come calling. Because this squad has got players that can't even dress themselves.
that would sum up Everton, to be fair, that one. That would be a good Everton one.
You know what I mean? That, to me, has got to be an iconic statue, surely. And Carlo, just with the eyebrow raised, like looking at him as if to go, what on earth is this football club doing?
He's used to managing Sergio Ramos and Toni Kroos and Modric, and he's having to deal with that sort of nonsense.
I'm pretty certain Ramos never went out ready with one sock off and about to come on. So,
how do you even do that? When he's put his boots on, how did he not realise I'm going to be sock on here, boys?
Yeah. Wasn't his leg a little bit cool? The breeze blowing on his leg. Wasn't he thinking, who's got air conditioning on the bench? So you could have something like that if you're moving away from historical moments.
Do you know, for Southall, Baz, do you know, like, we were talking through the week about Southall, and like, there's that picture of him, isn't there, like, sitting down against the bar? Is that's not really a positive image, though, is it? It's not like, it's very negative.
That was Leeds. Well, we were playing Leeds at home. We'd just come up and we were 3-0 down at half time. And he, as you do, on day one against the newly promoted team. And he came out and sat on the post. And obviously it made, I mean, if it was now, it would, people would lose their mind over it. But it did get a bit of negative criticism. And, some fans were sort of clapping him. And well, I asked him about, because I interviewed him, asked him about it, and he was just like, I just wanted to get back out and get on with it. It's like, well, fair enough, but it is an iconic picture, but it has got the negative connotations.
That's why I always think, sometimes see that one, like when you go to like these things and people raffling that signed picture, I always think, like, why would you have that picture as like
exactly,
when you have him with like,
it just looks cool, doesn't it? And it would look great in a corner of the ground, just him sat off looking at the Mersey.
Yeah. I feel like that's something Liverpool fans would pay for, though. A statue of a game you lost. That kind of thing. Whereas, him with an iconic red, the best player to ever wear a red shirt. That one would be a good one for the Cup Winners' Cup final when he's in goal there when he won that. That's a good one.
I think he's definitely a good one to have because is he arguably our last world-class player?
See, I was going to say that, but we were being serious for a sec. We have had Andrei Kanchelskis, who was unbelievable, world class, and Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney was Everton's probably most talented player England's ever produced, I would say. And he was world class. But yeah, Neville Southall was just the greatest goalkeeper ever to play the game. Unbelievable.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great case to end it on.
And a great fella to boost as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, unbelievable fella.
They're on Saturday at the supporting the food banks, wasn't he, as well? He always doing his bits, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. Legend of the club. Got to be involved in that last day, hasn't he? He's got to be some sort of massive thing for him.
I think they're all gonna. Well, I think most of them are gonna be there, to be honest. So that'll be good. The 84, 85 side. So
that'll be
good.
The 84, 85 side and the dog. That's all I'll ask for.
The dog. That's all you need.
Yeah. It's the dogs there.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Paul McCartney and the dog.
Paul McCartney, Richarlison. Kyle will turn up with his armful of watches and we're sorted.
Oh, great. Talking about his goal in the World Cup again.
I do love Timmy, but he's the best marketer of anything I've ever seen, I think. Self-promotion.
Do you reckon there's a chance of Paul McCartney last game?
I've only heard this today, by the way. This has been
happen.
on all of our stuff today. Paul McCartney coming for the Southampton game. Maybe if the new
Rocky came for Reading.
Yeah, I suppose.
Got Rocky.
How many credits has he got? That's got Rocky came for Reading. It's a classic. Fair play. If Rocky can come for Reading, anything can happen, can't it? Let's be honest. Justin Bieber wore an Everton kit once, so there you go.
Get him,
Get him as a statue. An Everton kit.
It's all about marketing. There you go.
Exactly.
Right, what a way to end it anyway. So just to wrap it up, we'll have our 5 suggestions. Richarlison, Big Dunk, Rocky, the dog, and Neville Southall, in no particular order.
Good super group, that.
Yeah, I'll take it. So, as always, we'll pass over to Sean to generate our game, even though I think we know what the game's going to be. Sean?
Right, so as we get to that point of the episode where we play our eponymous game, keeping up appearances, we would normally put 3 games into a wheel, but we're having as Tosh said, a very rare Everton special, so we're just going to stick with Everton. So it's Nottingham Forest against Everton at the weekend, so that's going to be our game. We'll get our number first. So we'll get our number. It is, as always, between 50 and 450, which are our lower and upper limits. So we are going to be playing today with the number 77.
That's not current, isn't it?
Yeah, not current.
Under 100.
Anything under 100 bars, we don't have current players.
Okay.
77 appearances for Everton or Forest.
Okay.
That's all appearances, isn't it? Not just Premier League.
Yeah. All appearances.
So it's old players and everything.
Yeah. Anyone.
Yeah. Okay, sound. Okay.
Do we want to do predictions for Everton?
Can't say anything other than a not Forest win, to be honest, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think our season is over because, mission accomplished and everything, so can't begrudge them too much, really. And not Forest are a really good side.
I think we'll beat them.
Really?
Yeah. 1-0, I'm going. We'll win there.
The goat?
No, the dog.
Dog at the far post. 1-1 I'm going for. 1-1. Grinding it out.
So
I was
going
to go 1-1, so I'll go 2-2. I think we were going to get a draw. So I'll go 2-1.
I'll be negative and I'll go 2-1 Forest.
I'll go 1-0, not Forest.
Yeah. Nice.
They'll kill you for that, Bob. They'll kill you for that. It's Notts County, Nottingham Forest, they're all right with. Or Forest, the Notts bit, they're not happy with.
Exactly.
We're still
That's why he says it. Yeah, we've had this quite a lot.
For them to kind of get onto that. That's kind of
getting in early.
To get onto it.
I've got one friend who texts me every time. He says, "Will he stop saying nuts?"
Just clip that up, clip it up, and get it on socials quickly.
That's the thing. I think we've realised recently, because obviously we're trying to grow our views, and we've realised the main thing that gets us views is slagging Liverpool off.
Oh God! If your skin is thick enough, do that, and you'll get them from all over the world, mate. You've got to be able to take it.
The last couple of weeks, it's been great. So
really?
if we can get the Forest fans coming out as
they're not
all
big
28
enough,
of
really,
them.
though, are they?
No.
I suppose you should really get the United fan defending Forest, shouldn't you?
Goldbridge.
Isn't he supposed to be? Yeah.
Or Brent, as his name is, yeah. Brent the Cesare or something, his name is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it, yeah?
That beats him out quite a bit, but yeah. But there you go. He's all
Song
right.
of the week, Sean.
Oh, yeah, song of the week.
Waterloo.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, it's going to have to be in this.
Well, something to do with dogs.
We can say it about
Something
dogs.
with
Dogs.
Hounds of Love by Kate Bush. Or something yacht rock with dogs in.
Oh, God's sake, would you shut up about yacht rock?
Who let the
What's
dogs out?
what's the
Who let
Florence?
do that?
Oh yeah, who let the dogs out? Well, what's the is Florence in the Machine?
Dog days are over.
Dog days are over.
Loving this, boys. Tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Pick any of the above, and whilst you're trying to figure out.
Or
who
Snoop
needs
Dogg,
it.
Callum, for you. Bit of something for you.
Could Snoop Dogg, yeah, could have Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Doggy Dogg, as I like to call him.
And that proves you've never listened to him.
I did see him in Pitch Perfect, though, so.
Right, go on then. So we'll have a little listen to whatever dog-themed song you want to listen to, and then we'll come back with our answers in a minute.
We seen you on the overlap quiz the other week, boss and all them. So yeah, we know you've got a pedigree.
Yeah, there's the dog theme again. I like it. I like it. Well, wait till this week's one.
Oh, can't wait already.
Yeah.
77.
That's a horrible number.
I'm struggling to get anyone.
I've got a couple, I think.
I've got loads of names written down. I'm not particularly confident with any, so
Yeah, I've got two.
pick one.
I've got two.
Go on, I'll pick one. Anyone want to go first?
I'll go first, the Bagsy mine, because you mentioned that we get good numbers when we slag the Reds off. I'm going to bring up James Tarkowski's great challenge the other day. Obviously not going for him because we can't go for current players, but I'm going to go for somebody who made another great challenge in the Merseyside derby. I'm going to go for Ramiro Funes Mori.
And then held the badge. Kissed the badge or whatever he did. Tapped it, yeah. Nutter.
Is that when we were like 4-0 down or something?
4-0
like
down.
that, yeah.
Yeah, kissing the badge off the pitch. We'll just defend it properly. Kiss the badge at the end of the game.
I'll be honest, I was actually one of the very few Anfield derbies I was there for, and I was clapping him off for that. He won me over. He won me over.
What you like to see.
41 attempts at goal they had that night.
Oh,
wow.
41.
That was the one that was also just before the United semi, wasn't it? So he was suspended for that.
Yeah.
So, not his best moment, but
no.
It was a bold strategy by Funes Mori. That
we had like no players.
Yeah.
Well, like there was rumours like we were gonna have to play like because Jagielka was a doubt, wasn't he? I think he played half fit on the side. We're gonna have to play like James McCarthy and someone else centre back.
Darren Gibson played. He hadn't seen him for months, and he played the full game.
The king.
Mo Bezic at right back.
Oh my word!
I'll tell you what, they should have won that day as well. They were the better side.
Yeah, Lukaku missed 5 sisters, yeah, and a penalty. But hey ho.
Yeah. Anyone else want to dive in?
Okay, I'll go in.
Go on, Baz.
Go on. No, go on. Go. You go, Carl. Go on.
Sure, go on. I will go for someone who I really like, but he just never you just want to kind of hit onto that next level, but he just didn't quite do it. But he's quite exciting. When he was at his best, he was dead exciting. And he's one of those players where you feel that had he been at his best more often, he wouldn't be playing for Everton, if that makes sense. He was at Everton because he was not always consistent with his best. I think he was there for a couple of seasons before he kind of struggled with injury. Speaks very well of us on Twitter as well, and did so the other day. I think he was looking for it to possibly get to one of the games. I'm going with Delafeu.
Ah,
oh, what a player!
What a great guy!
Very, very wind.
Very, very wind. But
loved him.
He was great, wasn't he? He was so good. That goal against Arsenal, I seen that the other day. It was what a finish. But I'm going with Delafeu. I think he'll be short of the 77, I think.
In his second spell, was he there 1 or 2?
2, wasn't he?
Probably
I,
was
just,
away.
I feel like was he injured a lot? I feel to
Yeah.
think that he was injured quite a
I
lot.
don't think he's played for 18 months now.
Yeah, he's struggling, hasn't he? But yeah, we'll see. I'll go with Delafeu.
Yeah.
Great
Okay.
song as well.
Yeah. What a
Go
guy.
go on, Baz.
Me, I've got 3, and I don't know which one to choose. 2 from Everton, 1 from Forest.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Brian Oviedo. I'm gonna go with. I know he was there a few years, but he was injured and he wasn't first choice.
Yeah,
I'll,
play.
I'll
Also
stick. I'll stick with that. But
another great song as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
another
great
good song.
I'm not
Poor guy.
convinced.
I met him in Odeon in Liverpool one as well.
Yeah, I was
What
there.
was he?
Yeah.
What was he saying?
I wasn't paying attention really. His wife was absolutely stunning, so barely even noticed Brian Oviedo was there.
Yeah, fair play.
Right. Yeah, go on. I'll jump in. I'm not confident. I've got a few names written down. I'll wait till the end just in case by fluke someone has them. Between 2 and I'm sort of an Aaron. Are you going Everton, Sean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on. I'll just keep me one name. I'm gonna go Yerry Mina. I feel like he's gonna be higher. He was there for a while, but I feel like the last few seasons he must have played about 10 games in each of them.
Yeah. There's
But I
always that
still feel he
room.
was there a good 4 or 5 years, wasn't he? Because he's
Yeah.
seen his contract out basically, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
There's
Constantly
always that
injured.
rumor that he had a appearance
Oh
clause
God,
where
Yeah.
I
he
think it
didn't
was
want
100, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh
it was
no.
no, so I don't think he didn't hit it though, did he? So
No,
he
but there was
only
rumours he kept leaving him out, and then he played that last run of games, didn't he?
Yeah.
Scored to get that goal.
And he was great.
Oh, he's a
Yeah.
brilliant player on his day, Mina.
Yeah.
I think
And an absolute wind up merchant as
King
well.
of the Snides.
yeah, he was, yeah, he
Absolute
was.
king of the Snides.
He had snideship sewn up, didn't he?
To be honest, I'm now thinking about it. The statue of him falling to the floor against Havertz in that game that we spoke about so much. It actually should be the statue.
Great idea.
That's
I was
best than the
thinking
dog.
I was thinking on the statue, could we get one that we throw things at, and then we could have had Mopai, couldn't we? As like an alternate statue, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
For when
like-
we've lost, just
Get your anger
put
on.
him in the river
there.
with
Well,
Jack Harrison.
I was thinking like if it was a true Goodison sort of moment, something like for the theme. I was thinking like a Clattenburg, just like like something like that's caused one of the biggest it's just like absolute heads gone. Something like that would have been a good one because that is a good part of Goodison history for me. All the sort of the head loss moments, but yeah, I just couldn't build myself to have that one. Right, Sean, just down to yourself.
Go on. I'll be honest, I really struggled here. Yeah, as usual, really. I've gone with someone who I think was there maybe 4 years. So I reckon he's gonna be higher. But I've gone with someone I think was a bit there about 4 years, maybe a bit longer. They were never first choice, bit of a utility man. And yeah, I'm just hoping that he didn't play very often at all. I'm gonna go with Steve Watson.
I think
He
you're
does
going to be
feel higher.
miles off
I
there,
think
Sean.
he'd be
I think
higher
he'll
as
be
well.
well higher.
I do as well. But
Yeah.
I'm still gonna go.
When I wrote all my names down, I was like, they're all too high, or I didn't know, so I just went with Steve Watson. But it's hardly rare, is it, me being wrong in this?
He'd had a bit of a good run of form though.
I know.
No,
Been
to be
away
fair,
too long,
Sean,
haven't
you
we,
did.
Tosh? Been away well too long.
Get out to practice, don't you? But I've just got to check them all now. Any other honourable mentions people I do as in other people's thinking we can check them if we need to.
I had Stan Collymore for Forest.
Oh yeah.
But I think he when he was playing for Forest, it was 40 odd games, wasn't it? And I think he might have done 2 seasons for Liverpool, took him. But also Paul Wilkinson for Everton back in the day, because he wasn't ever really first choice, but he played quite a few games. I'm just thinking, did he play more than 77? But
I don't know whether we say we can't do players that we've mentioned during the episode. I was going to say Super Kev for Forest.
I was going to say, surely much more for Everton, wouldn't it? But yeah, we'd have
Mm,
allowed it for
Forest,
Super
yeah.
Kev. I was thinking down the goalie route. I was thinking around the same Nigel Martin and Richard Wright, because neither were there ridiculous. Martin played for at least 2 or 3, didn't he? And he would have played every game. Whereas
Yeah.
Richard Wright
Yeah,
probably only had 1 or 2 before he then became second choice. So I reckon Richard Wright would have been my second one when my first one's bad. I've got the results in anyway, so we'll now time to reveal them. So in 5th place, as no one is probably surprised by, was Steve Watson with 134 appearances.
That's
so
not as bad as I
57 out.
thought.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I
that.
thought you were going to be like upwards of 100 out there.
The next not that good guess was 99. 1 short of 100, as Callum pointed out, 22 out for Yerry Mina. So I was in 4th position this week. The other 3 guesses were very, very good, all 10 or under. So very good from the lads. Stay in 3rd position with 67 and 10 out was Foons Murray. If he hadn't got that suspension, Bob, might have been in better position.
That was it.
Ah, well.
And then in 2nd position, 9 out with 68, Brian Oviedo. So
I'm all right with that.
Second, yeah.
I'm all right with
very
that.
good.
Less than 10.
And Callum in 1st, 75, only 2 out.
Nice.
My God, what a guess.
I didn't think he'd be anywhere near that
I'm
close.
sure he did, but Baz, we always assume Callum's cheating, just to let you know. So I think you've got the moral victory today.
Yeah, but what? I beat those allegations in the studio episode.
Not for me.
Do you know what? Do you know Carl? Do you know that meme, the one that? I never knew that. I never knew that. You just then.
There's no way I thought he was going to be that close. Oh,
Brilliant.
take it though.
Yeah, sure he didn't.
Just out of interest, Aidan McGeady, because he was another one I was messing around with, and I was thinking.
That's a little
If
bit.
Sean, you are a big fan. You should know that off the top of your head.
Aidan McGeady. We use Transfer Market, and it's a terrible website. Right, so that's where. But I'll quickly check. Someone else check Richard Wright for me as well, because I'm going to be livid if it's close. It's actually not Aidan McGeady. 43. So no, you were right.
Yeah, miles away with that. Yeah, he was one of the ones because he had a few seasons, didn't he? But yeah, I was thinking he'd have had to play more. Yeah. Richard Wright, come on. What's Richard Wright got?
71. Close. I'd been second actually.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. Is it too late to submit him or?
Yeah, go on,
Just about.
redo it.
Yeah, because you're going to
I'll
knock
edit
me
it all for you, Tosh, don't worry.
Edit it. Sean's in power. Go, wrap it up, Sean.
Yeah, go on.
Cool.
You'd have been nearly as close, Sean, going the Goodison dog. You'd have only been 77 out.
So, guys, thank you very much for listening to the Keeping Up Appearances podcast. You have made it to the end, which is a good sign. That means you must have enjoyed it. A great episode today. We had a win for Tosh and Bob in distinctly average, winning 2-1. Sean and Baz, some might say, I don't know, some might say Sean bottled the chance to level it up. I don't know. And we had a good Marooned 5 debate with lots of left field shouts for a statue outside Bramley, or maybe someone at the club of importance is listening and we might see one of these, or an amalgamation of these statues one day, but we'll see. And I took the victory just about pipping Baz to keep up appearances at the end. Baz, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It was great to have you on.
Pleasure.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you around soon. Anything else to add, guys, before we go?
That was made for like an up the toffees, but no one did it.
Yeah. No.